Okay, welcome my friends to the show that never ends. I still haven't got the idea of what I'm supposed to look at, really. If I look at the screen, Kieran, am I now looking at the screen? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Surely we did this for a good, I don't know, how many months I was at uni. Whilst we were doing a podcast.
I don't.
We did it for a long time.
Painful, isn't it? It's painful. Well, we're going to start with, obviously, the quiz. So welcome, Ben. This is the part that you join in and then bugger off. I don't know when you watch this. This is actually Monday morning instead of Sunday night. This was hard work. 9 o'clock on a Monday morning, getting everything together, mainly because you might think this is just thrown together, but no, this is a professional show, and I've got everything laid out on my desk of what we're going to do. That's why it actually runs so smoothly. Hey, Kieran.
Oh yeah, I have to do a lot of the preparation as well. I have my phone in front of me for when I get bored of talking to you.
You need a bit more volume, mate.
Do a start again.
Can I just say before we get to the quiz, so Ben hears this bit, I just want to make a question, just make a comment underneath and say what you think. But I want to know which one of us has the more sensible haircut. Kieran is coming up to well, mid-September, getting a bit colder out there. Kieran's cut all his off and looks like somebody off of a certain TV show, and that is
The Young Offenders.
The Young Offenders, which is actually where he lives in Portsmouth. Is probably right, actually. Step outside with a knife. Hey,
yeah.
It's
a bit unfair because if I have my hair up, I don't look so bad. However, if my hair is down, I do look like I should be in a prison, probably.
Yeah, and you do need to talk up a frazzle, please.
You just not got your volume up, mate.
Well, it could be that, couldn't it? Okay.
I'm going to say the microphone is right next to my mouth. I'm going to say it's you.
Right. Okay. Well, we've got the quiz eventually, Ben, because you've probably spent far too much time on this and fast forwarded already.
I was going to say he just skips past it. Don't worry.
Yeah. And then we have, I thought we'd shove a few interesting facts in about football on this day. Back in the past, the snag was nothing happened on the 10th, is it? Nothing's ever happened in football on the 10th of September. But there are quite a few things on the...
Sorry, do you think today is the 10th of September?
Well, I have got one 10th of September, and I've got an 11th and two 12ths.
I was going to say, today's the 13th, so you're a little bit off, but...
Oh, right. Is it? Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. What?
What did you say? This is a professional program. I can't even get the date right.
And then we have a little chat about the Oxford game with Wycombe. I was there.
I don't think Ben cares.
Well, certainly my eyes were open, but because I went with the Wycombe Independent Football Club, it meant we spent more time around the pub beforehand than we did actually at the Oxford grounds. So I have every intention of going to the next away game because I don't particularly want to watch the game, but I do fancy going around a pub for a long time. But I'll explain that a bit later. And then we're going to discuss Newcastle because I finally put that all together.
Fantastic.
And also, depending on time, I sort of got in my head this idea of putting together the best goalkeeper or the best defenders, the best midfield and the best forward separately, but pick a team with the best. So
Right.
if you're going to pick forwards, which team has the best forwards in the Premier League, etc. And so not individuals, but the team. But let's get on because we might not get round to that one. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One player scored a record 10 Premier League goals in a calendar month. Did we do that one?
No, we have not.
Okay. Can you name the player?
We'll go for Kane.
Wrong. Suarez.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Who is the only player to score 30 goals or more in 3 consecutive seasons?
I suppose it has to be Shearer, doesn't it? No. Is it? Yeah, Shearer.
Oh, I went a bit quick there.
Yeah, you did go a little bit quick.
Because
I
it was
Kane hasn't
Shearer.
got.
I think you should only really get half a point for that one. You were
I
going to
said
change,
it,
weren't you?
No, I wasn't going to say Kane, and there was no one else.
Can you name the 5 players that have scored 5 goals in a single game? My goodness.
Did you say the 5 players?
The 5 players have scored 5 goals in one game.
Right. Okay.
Not all in the same game. It wasn't 25-0 or anything, you know.
So, Jermaine Defoe.
Yes.
Berbatov.
Yes.
Shearer.
Yes.
And this is where I struggle.
I think you'll probably get one more.
One more.
I think there's one obvious one. I say that because I would have said him in the first place.
Would you?
And
that's pretty bold coming from you as well.
Talking
Rooney?
Of
I only got an inch off the top. It's fine. Rooney?
No. Do you want one more go then?
For some reason, Robbie Keane's name is in my head.
Aguero was the one I thought you'd get. You see, that would be the first one I would have named. Somebody who stands there and taps them in with a best team in the Football League. I thought he was a bit obvious. It's Kieran. He was so obvious. What is wrong with him?
Oh, yes, because you would have got Dimitar Berbatov, wouldn't you?
No. And I wouldn't have got the last one, which was Andrew Cole.
Oh, yeah. Didn't they win 9-0? Something. Yeah, fair enough. That's quite a difficult one, though.
Yeah, yeah. And is this the last one? Yeah.
No. So number 4.
Oh, yeah. One player holds a record of scoring 183 goals for one single Premier League club.
Oh. Is the question asking, or does it suggest that player's only played for one, or have they played for multiple?
He's played more than one. I'll let you have that. He's played for more than one team, but he scored 183 for one team.
There can't be many that. Rooney?
Yes, Rooney.
Yeah.
And last, this is easy. This is easy. And it's very up to date. Who is the only Portuguese player to win the Golden Boot?
Ronaldo.
Yeah, that was easy. That was a waste of time, that one, wasn't it? Okay, let me just get rid of all these things on here because I might need something in a minute. I'll leave that on there and we'll come back to that. Okay, football on this day, but it wasn't. It was sort of within a couple of days.
A couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So it was in September.
September the 10th. I got it roughly round. September the 10th in 2008, an impressive display by England, who won 4-1 in Croatia in a World Cup qualifier. Theo Walcott became the youngest England player to score a hat-trick, with Wayne Rooney scoring the other goal. The future was bright for England, surely.
Fantastic. Can't wait to win the World Cup.
The first FA Cup trophy, known as the Little Tin Idol, and which cost 20 quid, this is September 1895. I just might mention that's why it was only worth 20 quid. All right. Was stolen from the shop window of a Birmingham boot and shoe manufacturer. Okay. The cup had been lent by cup holders Aston Villa, who were later fined 25 quid by the FA to pay for a replacement. And the Little Tin Idol was never recovered. Somebody has that cup somewhere in their possession.
You're telling me, like, in 10 years' time, someone's going to come on the Antiques Roadshow being like, what's
I don't know what this is. Can you tell me what that is? Yeah.
And he gets arrested.
Yeah. I wonder how much it's worth today.
Probably 25 quid.
Yeah. That's what most people see the FA trophy worth today, don't they?
Yeah.
Football on this day, 12th of September, 1989. Now, no, you wouldn't remember this. Liverpool had a 9-0 home league victory over Crystal Palace, with 8 different players scoring the goals. Despite the scoreline, Liverpool scored more goals away from home than they did at Anfield, in achieving their 18th league title that season. Liverpool did the league double over Palace that season, but the Londoners did record a memorable cup victory over them, beating Liverpool 4-3 in the FA Cup semi-final at Villa Park. That's boring, isn't it? I don't know why I put that one down, really.
It's barely on the 10th of September or 13th or whatever date you want to call it.
12th.
You just said the whole season, though.
Yeah. Now, I like it's a bit dodgy, but obviously is relevant at the moment, sort of. Football on this day, on the 12th of September 2001. Footballers behaving badly hit the headlines again. 4 Chelsea players, Lampard, Terry, Johnson and Jody Morris, allegedly stripped, swore and vomited in front of Americans stranded at a Heathrow hotel because of travel chaos that day after terrorists' attack on the World Trade Center. All 4 were fined 2 weeks' wages by the club, although the incident was later to revisit Lampard when in 2014, when just before he signed for New York City, a New York newspaper ran a story about the incident under the headline, "British soccer star poised to join New York team once mocked Americans after 9/11 attack."
That's actually quite surprising he went there in the end. I'm surprised people weren't more angry about it.
You would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Stripping, vomiting, swearing, having a go on the day that happened.
Yeah. That's pretty mank.
Yeah, good old Frank Lampard, eh? What a nice boy.
Love Frank.
Yeah, love him. Okay. Wycombe, Oxford, before we get into the rest of that league and have a laugh at Ipswich yet again. So I'll give you my the day out story. So I had a choice of joining Wycombe Wanderers Football Club or Wycombe Wanderers Independent Football Club. Interesting that the Wycombe Wanderers Independent Football Club, they charge 12 quid. This is an advert, probably. They charge 12 quid. You get 4 of their programmes that they sell for £1.50 free. So as such, that's 6 quid of your money to join. And as I buy it anyway, I thought might as well go with them. The Ordinary Football Club leave Wycombe's ground at 1 to get to Oxford. This lot leave at 11:15 from the train station and take a rather different route to get there. We stop off at this really nice pub. They've taken the meal, sort of what everybody wants for their meal beforehand. In the pub you go, and you think, this is nice, really nice pub. God, look at all that real ale. I love real ale. what a choice. But of course, the guy that organises it finds these pubs using the Good Beer Guide. He doesn't just find pubs for food, he finds the ones that sell decent beer, which probably explains why I was one of the youngest. And everybody else is sort of trying all the beers. They need the 2 extra hours to get through the 4. I don't drink that much, I have to be honest. Otherwise, I'd miss most of the game, wouldn't I? By just going out to the loo all the way through. But anyway, it was great. Really nice food. It was really nice beer. They know their pubs, this lot. Okay. And their attitude is, well, if Wycombe lose, at least you've had a decent beer. And I suppose that's probably that. I thought, what a good idea. Actually, I had a great time. They're all chatty, and I found some, I wouldn't say friends yet, but we've got a lot in common. And of course, all the music interests. Sorry?
What you got in common? Wycombe.
Yeah, and that most of us are getting old and going to have heart attacks soon. Yeah,
right.
And music, of course, is the next thing that comes up. All the same age, you're not sat there discussing, what's in the charts today. And when looking around, I don't think there was one person that bought a lager, to be honest. And I thought that was odd. It just wasn't that. It's where you go to discuss beer and old music, and everybody's got everything in common. Like, what are you going to do with your money you were given by the government this month?
So you found your age group then?
Yeah, bingo and all this stuff. I had a great time, and so much so that I shall be going to the Milton Keynes game in 2 weeks. I wasn't sure whether I was, but after I had such a good time, I have no intention of missing it. I managed to con your mother into allowing me. So yeah, there you go. That's the Wycombe Wanderers Independent Football Club. Worth looking up, and give Colin a ring. He's good. His telephone number is on there. Great. But let's get down to the Oxford game. Having, I won't say drunk too much in case your mum actually does get round to seeing this. I mean, some of it was a bit blurry, No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
She never watches this anyway.
No, I don't think she's ever seen one.
No.
To sum it up, I'll sum the game up. It was 0-0. Was it boring? I think if you were to watch it on TV, it would be boring. To watch it live, it is not boring. The banter between the two fans, there were 1,500 Wycombe fans and there were 9,000 at the stand. The banter between the supporters, the desperation of not losing to Oxford, the will to score a goal was so high it had little to do with the quality of football. Wycombe were on top for the first hour, no question. They didn't have great chances, but had some chances. The new kid, I'm trying to think of his name, the one that replaced Fred. The
bloke from Bristol Rovers.
Not Hacken, it's something like that.
Hanlon.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He is good, Kieran. When you see him, he is good. He was clearly the most skillful player on the pitch. He seemed to sort of have 3 or 4 players on him and would weave his way through and come out the other end. He was good. First hour should have made that count. I was surprised in the second half that we were still on top when we come out. After that hour, Oxford started to find their way. I think Wycombe started to think, we'll take the draw, and Oxford started to push for the goal. And it became a bit hairy. That's for sure. They became the much better team. But in the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they were hanging on. They were scared of Wycombe. We just kept getting corners and having a go. I think in the end, 0-0 was fair enough. And because you were there live, it made it exciting and fun. I think to watch it on TV, it wouldn't be. I bet the highlights look really drab. There was one incident that I've got to mention that wasn't in the highlights, and that was a Wycombe foul. I think it was our friend left back.
Jacobson.
He committed a foul in the box that they wanted a penalty for. I was sat next to two people roughly my age. A couple sat there next to me, and then there were a couple of lads sat next to them, and we all looked forward and all said, penalty, that's a penalty, and the ref didn't give it. The ref gave very little. He didn't get his cards out very early, otherwise I think they would have had a penalty and Oxford would have had at least one player sent off. They ended up with 4 cards, but he didn't show them until very late. I think Oxford were lucky, but they would have changed. They wouldn't have carried on hacking players over like they did. But they should have had a penalty early on. And so all in all, I'll take the 0-0.
Yeah.
That's my summary of the game.
I mean, obviously I can only go off what you said and what the highlights suggested. But there was definitely a few chances that we need to take because we're not a team that creates too many clear-cut big chances, not one-on-ones or things like that. And there was a few, I think, that Vokes had that were either he didn't quite get to or he didn't, or he was straight at the keeper or something like that. And it's those sort of ones where it's like, another day we win the game pretty easily or comfortably. This day, it just didn't quite happen. It's a shame.
No, it was a shame. I thought Wycombe had their chances and Oxford had their chances, and neither were good enough to take them. Simple as that.
Oxford are quite. I mean, the chances that they showed on the highlights were like, I think there's one from about 30 yards out and one from a really tight angle or something like that. Yeah. They didn't...
Wycombe's were in the box. Theirs was outside the box. They had one player who was shocking in diving and cheating and hacking, and he was their centre forward. Taylor, is it? I thought he was shocking. And what got me, they also had an awful habit of when it was a Wycombe throw-in, they'd kick the ball away 20 yards. They all, and there's no ball boys. And I think they were trying to get Wycombe annoyed. They also, the other thing that really annoyed me was the amount of times when they did get a free kick, they didn't move the ball forward 5 yards or 10. They tried 20. Eventually their goalkeeper got booked for it. And it got on your nerves. And what amazed me was when their fans started singing, "You're just time-wasting bastards," because I thought, well, actually, if you hadn't kicked the ball away so often from all the corners, throw-ins and free kicks, you would have got an extra 10, 15 minutes. It was them that wasted that time, not Wycombe.
Yeah, it does work both ways, doesn't it? I don't know whether they're just trying to up the ante of the anger to try and get a Wycombe player sent off before they go for it. To be honest, if that is their tactics, try and get a Wycombe player sent off before they actually try and win the game. It's kind of a little bit sad because it suggests
they did it, didn't they, with Akinfenwa the last home game?
Yeah,
in the league, they pushed and pushed and pushed to get him sent off, and eventually he was. And the quantity of just passing at the back, Oxford. I mean, this idea that they play good football, what a bore! Oh my goodness, it was boring. I mean, to be an Oxford fan and watch that. I mean, they talk about Wycombe being boring. But it was just, oh, no, thank
So
you.
it's still Carl Robinson in charge of them then.
Yeah. And he put stuff in the press the previous day in Oxford about Wycombe shocking and cheating and stuff in the Oxford press again. And if you look at any player talking after the game, you'll see their players discussing how much better they are at football again. And I think that's very sad. I think they're sad. I think they've had it put up here by that man. And the bonus is, what we do know is he'll never get a job at Wycombe.
No.
And that is a real plus, because I don't want him anywhere near Wycombe. I could not bear that sort of football.
But he's trying to play the kind of like Guardiola style, but hasn't got the players for it and hasn't got the know-how himself for it.
Exactly. It is good football, but you need good footballers. And Division 1 footballers aren't precise, aren't 100% passing, aren't that good.
The good football isn't good football if they can't do it.
No, which they did. They still ended up taking long-range shots because they could get nowhere near.
Yeah. Whereas, I mean, people perceive our football as not so good football, but our football is good because we're good at it.
We got in the box. We had more shots inside the box. They couldn't get there. I think the other thing was the quantity of times. I wish you could get this figure, but you can't. I tried. The quantity of passing that they did that went straight off the pitch because it wasn't accurate. You can look up percentages of accuracy, but what you can't get is the amount of inaccuracy that was just belted off the football pitch for a throw into Wycombe, because that was a lot, because it was that lack of accuracy.
I think it's safe to say we kind of have I was going to say moral high ground, not moral, but like we have the high ground over Oxford at this point. Because if I imagine, like before, they've been perceived as a bigger club, but I think we definitely are at this point, aren't we?
Some of the songs were a laugh, I have to say, about we took their 2-1 big day away and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was, you'll never see the championship and that sort of thing every time. But you didn't hear them, but you often don't hear the home fans, do you? No. The away fans always make a bigger noise, and they did here. And there was probably the last point on this was they had people with crowd control written on the back of their shirts. Shocking. Yeah. Absolutely shocking. Crowd control my arse, is what I would say. They had about as much of crowd control as I was going to try and think of a scenario of as I have at doing English literature. I mean, rubbish, absolutely right. The bloke next to me trying to look after one, because they're supposed to all be sat down. Of course, one whole half of the Wycombe fans, about 700 of them, was stood up.
Yeah.
Which meant the other half trying to see and saying, "Oi, get them to sit down. I've tried, I'll give up." He said, "Well, you're in my way. Get out of the way." "No, I can't get out of the way." And then when people went and people were coming up saying, "I'm going in there," and said, "Let me see your ticket. Otherwise, you can't go in that bit." And put his ticket in his back pocket so the guy couldn't see his ticket because he wanted to go and stand with his friends, even though his seat was the other side. They had no connection, and he'd go in, and the bloke would just stand there and watch him. And I'm thinking, what's the point of you being here? Absolutely none. And then there was some kid in front who went out to the loo or something, and he didn't come back because they'd arrested him because he hadn't taken his ticket with him. Just baffles me. I mean, and I presume it was a bloke who'd brought him along, somebody else's dad who'd brought this guy along, had to go out and find him with the police. Oh, it was shocking. Sorry, Oxford, get that sorted for a start. Maybe if they'd had got another end up the other side, so you can go and stand behind the goal, it'd be helpful instead of having a car park. I mean, it's a dreadful ground for that, isn't it?
Oh, it's tragic, yeah.
It's
Looks
tragic.
awful.
Why build a ground and only have one end?
You should have just not make the other ends so big
Yeah,
and
it's
just
funny,
at
isn't it?
least have 4 ends.
I mean, they
Make
got
up for it.
9,000 people in there. I mean, I don't understand if you're going to spend all that money, why only put 3 stands in there? What's wrong with the other end? You know,
Surely they're a club that has money as well to be able to do that. So whether they can get the what was it, permission to build another end. But you would
well,
have thought they would be able to do.
at least we didn't lose, eh?
No.
A quick uppy on Division 1, because that is slowly. Can you look it up for me? You're quicker than me.
Yes, fella.
I don't have my phone. Because I think Wycombe are now 9th and Oxford are right behind them with the same amount of points, I think.
Wycombe are 9th and Oxford are 10th.
Yeah, there was good memory, eh? Who's top? Kieran Accrington?
No, Sunderland.
Yes, because they beat Accrington at the half. In this, the Accrington and Sunderland had a game, and Sunderland win. I think this is Sunderland's season. I have to be honest. I think they've got it together finally, and I think they will go up. And I think whatever they don't have at Christmas, they have a time to bring in what they're missing. Any injuries, anything like that, they'll have the money to do it this time. And because they've got it right from the beginning, instead of chasing. They've always chased.
I mean, it has to be said, the teams they've beaten as well to get to top already is very impressive. They beat Wigan, who are second, Milton Keynes, who are in the playoffs, Wimbledon, who are just Wimbledon. They beat us, and they have beaten Accrington. Oh, Wimbledon are 4th as well.
Yeah, so they've beaten the top teams.
They've beaten all the top teams.
I think
apart from Burton, who are Burton are 7th.
Yeah.
So they played all teams in the top 12.
In the top. So I think this is Sunderland's season, to be honest. A bit of a shame. No, that's not fair. I don't. The only thing I didn't like about Sunderland was some of their fans taking the mickey, and couldn't ever understand how Wycombe could beat them, because that was wrong, because they're a bigger club, that attitude. But there's fans like that in every club, I guess. I mean, I bet there's some Wycombe fans I wouldn't like either. And so Sunderland, good luck to them this season. Portsmouth cocked it up again.
Yeah, they're below us now.
Yeah, they lost 1-0, didn't they?
To MK Dons.
Not doing well. I think our friend, the manager there, I can't remember his name, but I think he could be going. I'd give him about 4 games.
Is it still Kenny Jackett there?
I'm not sure.
Can't be. He's been there far too long. 1 second.
But I'll talk. You look at that. He's got the wrong thing up here.
Oh, it's Danny Cowley.
Oh, right. Well, he's off then.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do too well.
He's another one that just does the rounds, isn't
he? He was. Oh, he is now. But he lived off his thing when he took. Was it Lincoln to like the 5th round of the FA Cup or something? They
always do this, though. These managers have their 2 failures, 1 success, and then they just keep going off that 1 success.
Yeah.
And what amazes me is how the press talk of them as success, these managers, when all they've done is be sacked by 5, and had 1 success by getting 5th in the FA Cup. Amazing. I don't understand that. You know, he is. If you're giving him a pat on the back, saying that was down to him that they got fifth in the FA Cup, isn't it down to him they got relegated? All the other teams got relegated. You know,
Yeah, it is a bit baffling.
it is. It is. Milton Keynes. Can you see the score of the Milton Keynes game?
Yeah, they beat Portsmouth 1-0.
Right. There was of course, sorry. There was a team that won 3-2.
There was a 4-3 between Wimbledon and Morecambe. No 3-2 though.
No. Right.
No, there was a 5-1.
Oh, right.
A 4-2 and a 4-3.
Right. Who were the goal scorers in the 4-3? Who was it?
It was Morecambe versus Wimbledon.
Right.
Is that not what you were after?
I'm not sure. I was looking for there was a player I thought in this league that scored 2 or 3 and made the other goals. He was the assist for
Lincoln. Scully scored 2.
He's the one.
3.
He's the one. Scully. I think he looks really good. I'll have him. Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get him, fella.
He looked dangerous. I thought he was excellent in that game. He is. I think he has stood out as anybody attacking up front midfield further on. He has looked the best in this league so far this season.
Well, just going off of the top scorers, he's second with 5. But of the top 20 top scorers, he's the only one who has 3 assists.
Yeah, he looks flipping useful, and if he keeps going, he'll find himself in the Championship. No, for sure.
Yeah. Was it Lincoln? He's not going to say it Lincoln, is he?
No. Okay. We have to mention Ipswich again because of their size, because they were meant to be at the top, and in fact they're at the bottom. Not dead bottom, but use the word near enough. And they got 1 point or something.
And they lost by 5 goals to 2 against Bolton.
Yeah. And were they at home?
They were at home. The manager describes it as the lowest point of his career.
I think, well, I'm not surprised. You can see his money going, can't he? I think he's had it. But what the next manager does, because I do not know, that dressing room is a sad place at the moment for Ipswich, and Ipswich fans are not liking Mr. Manager very much. On the terraces, he wasn't getting claps and give us a wave. Let's put it that way. And I think once that starts, I think your job is going. I haven't looked up whether any managers have been sacked yet, but
I would have thought so.
I think there's a couple on there that you have to say could be going very shortly. One is Mr. Ipswich, and the other has to be, what's his name? Horton. From
Horton.
Yeah, from Nottingham Forest.
Oh.
In the Championship. He is in desperate trouble as well, and I'm waiting for that one to come up as well. This because his more than Ipswich is so left over from last season. It's been a long time. It hasn't just been this season. It's been a long time. And
do you mean Houghton?
Yeah.
Oh. Because he did okay when he was with teams like Newcastle and Brighton in the Premier League. He did okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have drawn 1 and lost 5.
Yeah. And again, they're one of the better off clubs and he's had his window of picking his team, and still has left. If you look at last season, when Wycombe came down, had we managed about 5 more, had there been another 5 more games, I think Nottingham Forest would have gone down instead of us. At about mid-season, I think Nottingham Forest started losing everything.
I think we beat them, didn't we?
I think everybody beat them in the end. So,
well, just looking at the Championship table, I tell you, it's annoying to look at.
Yeah, the top 2 are West Brom and
Fulham. They just came down, lads. Bog off.
Who was the other one?
Who was the other
Sheffield
one?
United, wasn't it?
Oh, they're 18th.
They were but that's understandable almost.
Derby somehow is 16th. I mean, they're 2 points above the relegation zone, but they're still 16th.
I have to say though, West Brom and Fulham at the weekend was shocking.
Were they?
Yeah, they both had. I mean, I don't think they lost. They drew. I think I can't.
West Brom drew to Millwall.
Yeah,
and Fulham Fulham lost to Blackpool. Sorry.
Right, but they both had, and I have to say they do not look like this weekend. They did not look like they're going straight up. They did not stand out like Norwich did last year.
No,
but they'll probably still do it. They probably got just enough to manage to go back up and back down.
More than likely.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to read this. I've got a little piece. Give me 5 minutes, Kieran.
Go for
and
it.
then I'll leave it. Okay. So I don't do all the talking. Just let me read this.
Yeah.
We're going to look at Newcastle because I always make cracks about Steve Bruce and and I say about Newcastle and stuff. So I actually did a little bit of looking up about Newcastle and what's going on at Newcastle and about whether Steve Bruce whether it's his fault. Well, here we go. Last season, Newcastle reached the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. They beat Blackburn, Morecambe on penalties and Newport before losing to a championship team, Brentford. For a while, this gave them their biggest success and something else to think about. But if you add the FA Cup, Newcastle haven't beaten a Premier League side in a cup match either since 2014. And again, this season, knocked out of the Carabao Cup by Burnley. Ashley wants out. Bruce is not popular and it already feels like Newcastle are fighting relegation. After losing to Burnley, Bruce said, "I was delighted to keep a clean sheet. There were lots of positives. Fact was, Burnley were ordinary, Burnley didn't lose, and Burnley are through. Glad to keep us clean sheet. Newcastle are 19th in the table, having let in 12 goals. Let's be fair, they've scored 5 though, but given away 3 penalties and have only 1 point on the table. At their home game against Southampton, the fans sang, 'We want Brucey out,' or 'You're just a sad Mac and bastard.' And then the booing off the pitch. It wasn't as bad as Alan Pardew got or Kevin Keegan got, but there's a good reason for this, and I'll explain that in a minute. Mike Ashley has owned the club for 14 years. His interest has gone and he's been relegated twice. Financially, the club does tick over, but that's all. Newcastle has been up for sale since 2008. Under Ashley, their average league position is 12th, meaning boring, average, nothingness. And then things changed. Rafa Benitez arrived, hope and belief. But no, even he could bear no more. Then Bruce turned up. You want to know why the booing isn't so loud? It's because the fans stopped going. That corner of the fans that could stand no more were the ones that booed. They even had to hand out 10,000 part-season tickets this season. And this is a Premier League game. Giving away 10,000 part-season tickets to get a crowd in there. So it's that crowd that isn't in there booing. They've all left. So why do they sing Sad Mac and Bastard? He's a Geordie, isn't he? Didn't he come from Newcastle? Well, yes, by birth, but later was a manager of Sunderland. And Mackham is to Sunderland what a Geordie is to Newcastle. He's given his heart away as far as the fans are concerned. He's gone somewhere else and just returned for the money. He's not a Geordie. He's a Sunderland manager. So are they worse under him? They finished 13th and 12th. Well, not really, but it's Bruce's enthusiasm that he has. He's got real enthusiasm, or so it seemed, and he's satisfied. It's the same 3-5-2, and it's the same team as last year, literally. It's a club going nowhere. In the window, they bought one player, Joe Willock from Arsenal. But he was on loan there last year. They've bought nothing. They have nothing. Not one extra player. Not one. It's the same team. So it's not all his fault. He was expecting players to go and to come in. He wanted players. Like the fans, though, the players didn't want to come to Newcastle. Couldn't get anybody. And the players who they've got, nobody else wanted. They couldn't get rid of them. But 3 have left. Andy Carroll, Atsu and Savet. They went on free transfers. But Longstaff, Ritchie, Hendrick and Kraft, I think that's how you pronounce it, are all still there, even though he said he wanted to get rid of them. Nobody wanted them. So this 25-man squad is weaker than last year. I've almost finished. Steve Bruce is fighting battles on and off the pitch, the media and the fans. The funny part is I don't think he's going to be sacked. I think he's there for the season, because what else are they going to do? What else can they buy? Who's going to go there? Because Newcastle are dead. I mean, and Steve Bruce, what are they going to do with him? They're not going to pay his wages to leave. What would they get instead? There is nobody who is sensible that would go to Newcastle. So I think he's got a while longer to suffer while the Geordie fans slowly sing his name and put their heads down and don't go. He pushed for 2 other players at least, a defensive mid and a centre-back, but was told no. In his 25-man squad, he's got 4 goalkeepers, for goodness sake. And then he got done this weekend because he lost 4-1. It turns out he went on a Portugal holiday while England were away, and it was the international, and they really criticised him for going away on a day or 2. But 6 of his players were missing. There was nothing he could do. I think he went away because of what's going on up here for him. I think he needed a break. He came back and they had a week's training anyway. And then after that, Newcastle brought out a statement explaining what they didn't do in the transfer window and why. And he wasn't happy. And when asked about it, he just looked angry and said, "It is what it is." He's not happy. The guy in charge of buying and transfers is a guy called Charnley, and he sat in the director's box when they were all singing after 60 minutes, "Let's get rid of him, let's get rid of him." It's him. It's Mike Ashley that needs to go. And I really believe that now. but it'll cost them multi-millions to get rid of Steve Bruce anyway. They now face Leeds on Friday. Oh my goodness. We saw Leeds play Liverpool yesterday. This is not just predictable. It's almost inevitable what's going to happen to Newcastle this year. There's no choice. No manager would have a choice what's going to happen to Newcastle this year. They're in the bottom group, at least. They'll be fighting relegation one more little bit. I feel sorry for him, actually. I think Chantley and Ashley are to blame. Steve Bruce cannot win, but I don't think anybody can win. So that makes you wonder why he's there and who'll be going there next not to win. Why would you take the job if you wanted to win? All yours.
Was the situation the same when Benitez was there?
Yeah. But Bruce ended up in the same part of the league as he did. He was no more of success.
No. It's just what has accumulated over a period of time, isn't it? That's now meant that Newcastle are really in the crap, aren't they? Because Benitez and Bruce to begin with inherited a half decent team that meant that it was possible to keep them up. Now it's slowly burning away, isn't it? And if they go down one league, they probably go down two, and maybe more. That's the sort of club that Newcastle would become, which is extremely sad because, I mean, for one, I generally like Newcastle as a club, and for two, you don't like to see clubs completely fall apart, because you think about what it would mean to you if like that happened to your club, and it would be extremely sad. There's a big part of your life that kind of just goes completely missing. There is only one thing and one man who can. This sounds like a superhero movie, doesn't it? But it literally is. If he does it, there's one man who can keep Newcastle up, and that is Saint Maximin. He is the one spark that they have, and realistically should be playing for a top 6, top 8 team. If he can play well and keep playing well the whole season, then they might have a chance. But even then, it's a bit of a stretch. If they stay up this season, they need different owners, because this is the last season with these owners. If they stay up,
he can't sell it. He can't. Why can't he? Why does nobody want to come in and buy Newcastle? He's kept it. It's not in the red.
People didn't they? People wanted to come in.
Yeah, but it never got accepted because these people were into a lot of
immoral,
naughty things.
Yeah,
moral. Yeah.
It's a shame that no one wants to come in and buy it. It really is. I'm trying to think the reasons why you wouldn't want to. Maybe because Ashley would charge far too much in order to buy it.
I think that sounds like it. I mean, you can only presume. Newcastle is a massive team to have. And
that's what Ashley would argue, wouldn't it?
It is, though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. It's as big as Chelsea, Man City, those type of teams. It's up there. It might not be as big, but it's up there. Certainly.
Should be.
And at least should be, yeah.
But it hasn't been for a very long time. You can understand why the fans just have given up, can't you?
Well, they've gone from...
But I don't understand why they... Well, okay, I mean, Steve Bruce, I mean, I'll be honest, I think he's useless, all right? But he's never taken a team in the Premier League to the top, anywhere near. He's got promotions from lower league teams, is his thing. He's the wrong man for the job. But who's the right? There isn't one. There isn't one. Why would he have taken it? Because he loved the club. But that's not enough. Eddie Howe was offered the job at Celtic and he turned it down because he thought Celtic weren't going in the right direction. And surely that was fairly obvious with Steve Bruce taking this job. Was it desperation or what?
Didn't know who else to get.
He must have a problem to even think he could have done anything. And I think the next manager, who would take it?
No one in their right mind.
Nobody in their right mind. So the only person that would take it is the person in their wrong mind. And that was Steve Bruce in this case, which is why he's not very good. It's not all his fault, though. And I am starting to feel a bit sorry for him, actually. But he was a fool to have taken the job in the first place. That was his choice.
It almost needs Newcastle to really find it difficult to find a manager in order to maybe prompt Ashley to sell it. They can't stick around for a long time with no manager. Maybe that will trigger it.
13 years it's been up for sale. 13 years.
That is insane, isn't it?
It's mad.
It's a decade, isn't it? It's a childhood kind of thing. It's an extremely long time.
Newcastle fans, I feel sorry for you, but also be a little bit, for your manager. And I would say the person to have a go at is Chantley. And hang on one moment.
Here's Mike Ashley. He wants to sell the club.
Yeah. Sorry for that. That was Joe from Amazon. Yeah, we know what that means. Okay. I think we've probably said everything there. Don't you?
Yeah.
Does it give you a different view of Newcastle?
I think I knew a half decent amount of what you've been talking about, but it does reinforce the fact that it's a poor, dying club, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Right. Well, I don't think we got time for much more. Got to say, we will discuss one game that happened yesterday because it's one game you would have seen.
Well, there's only one game that played yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Won't bother with the Man United Newcastle. There's a reason United scored 4, and there's a reason why Newcastle let in 4. And
one thing about the United game, the return of God. But,
the return of God. Yeah.
His 2 goals, they weren't even good. The keeper should have saved them both.
Yeah.
And people are just like, oh, Ronaldo.
Yeah, I know. On the other hand, what's the name of that French forward for them?
What, for United?
Yeah.
Martial.
Yeah, he would have missed.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have even been there. He wouldn't have been even standing there.
No, it's true. I can't, yes.
So I think there's ways of looking at that. I'm not quite sure. We could discuss all that. And yes, they were tap-ins, couldn't miss. I could have scored them. It's the honest truth.
Martial couldn't.
But Martial couldn't.
No. But
Okay.
are we going to talk about Liverpool?
Liverpool Leeds. Okay, let's get the worst part over with.
Bless him.
Bless him.
I
wasn't convinced it was a red card.
It might not be, but it's still a stupid tackle, isn't it?
It was stupid. It was a yellow.
I think it is a yellow. This is the thing. But imagine dislocating someone's ankle for a yellow card.
I know.
I suppose at the other end, I'd argue the same. But I don't think it's as horrific as it's been made out to be.
No.
Because supposedly it takes 6 to 8 weeks to recover from it. I don't know whether that includes all the rehab and stuff, but he could be back by Christmas.
Yeah, and dislocated just it means out of place. It doesn't mean he broke a bone, which is a plus, a real big plus. Actually,
so he could be all right.
He will. Be the putting it back into the right place, and then the pain of the muscles, etc., etc. So I think he will be all right shortly. I don't think it was a red card that killed the game completely. Although
the game was barely a thing anyway.
It wasn't really. It was two teams hacking at each other, wasn't it?
I mean, sort of. I like to think after a while Liverpool got most of the control of the game and didn't really let Leeds have too much of a chance. And the one that Leeds should have scored before we scored our first, like that could have really changed the game. But their bloke didn't have any composure. I'm very happy that Mane scored because he looked to get really pissed off towards the end, as he should be because he's missed a lot.
He needs to score a winner, not the third goal in a 3-0.
I'm not sure that one kind of just will give him a bit of relief off. It won't give him that confidence boost that he needs. It'll just be like, finally I've scored, as opposed to, oh yes, that was all down to me kind of thing.
He needs a 93rd minute winner.
Yeah, and one where it's all him, not tapping.
And also he mustn't start taking them on when he should pass. He did that.
There was a few.
Shouldn't do that. That'd be a bad mistake.
You could kind of see it on Salah's face as well. He was like, I want to have a go at him, but I'm not going to. He's like, no, whatever I do will just ending in a fight. But it's a potential banana slip, isn't it? Leeds away, and we dealt with it pretty well.
You could say anything could happen in that game. You don't have control, but you do have the bonus of being better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. The control is a bit out there, isn't it?
That's why I was a bit surprised.
You've got to be fit to play Leeds, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's why I was a bit surprising that he went with Thiago in midfield as opposed to Henderson. But I mean, Thiago controlled the game really well as well. So absolutely no complaints from the tactical side of things. Well done, Jurgen.
He needs his glasses back, though, doesn't he?
He does. But he can't get his glasses back now because he's had surgery on his eyes.
Yeah, but you can wear them with just plain lenses.
Well, so just as a fashion thing.
Yeah. Or without any lenses, just with the frames, you know? Did you see...
It doesn't even matter.
Did you... Yeah, I know this hasn't got much to do with football as such, but did you see where they were sat in that dugout? They'd got seats at the same level as the dugout. So people were bought seats behind the dugout. So the players were sat here and the people sat there trying to see, and Klopp getting up and down and walking in. And these people had bought those tickets to sit there.
It's a bit silly, isn't it? I would have thought that's
absolutely mad.
Whoever plans that one out.
Nerve to sell those seats, I do.
Yeah, but people have bought them though, as well.
Yeah,
I suppose if they're the last tickets going, you're like, oh, that.
Well, you hope they were the last. Yeah. That there weren't worse seats. I mean, you'd be better off just going into a pub and watching it. In all honesty.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Probably they weren't great, were they? They had 2 or 3 opportunities, but one was from the halfway line.
Yeah.
They haven't done too well to begin with. They've got 2 draws and 2 losses.
Yeah.
I know they've played Liverpool and Man United, and there's the 2 losses, but might need a win or. They drew against Everton as well.
Yeah, I think
they've had a tough start, but I don't think there'll be any problem for them.
Right. Do you think there's enough worse teams?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the bottom 3 at the moment, Arsenal have gotten out of it.
Yeah.
They only beat Norwich 1-0, which, by the way, is not very good.
No, but I think that might give them a bit of a kick, mightn't it?
Yeah, the bottom three is Norwich, Newcastle, and Burnley.
Yeah.
That's pretty believable, isn't it?
That's believable. And funnily enough, only one of those are the teams that have come up.
Yeah, and it's the champions again, Norwich.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
Brentford and what was the other one?
Watford.
Watford
are 15th with one win. Who did they beat?
It wasn't this weekend. They lost this weekend.
No, I think they won on the first test.
Didn't they?
Did they? They did lose to Wolves 2-0. Their one win was against Crystal Palace.
Right.
Palace beating Spurs 3-0, by the way, was pretty good. They're doing better than I thought.
Yeah, Andy deserved to be sent off in that one.
Yes.
Yes, three yellow cards. Two
yellows in a row.
2 yellows. Yeah, I thought that was fair enough. Actually,
yeah, he was a silly boy, wasn't he? Yeah.
As did Mr. Manager. Actually, I thought one of the things I can't stand is everyone jumping up and down when things are dead when the ref got it right. He didn't go on about it. The manager, whatever he thought, he didn't go on about that, which was good because we're not interested.
What, of Spurs? Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll give that a miss here then, Kieran. I think that's been plenty long enough, and people and Ben probably isn't anywhere near.
Ben's long gone, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah, Ben's long gone. We'll have to get him on here for the first minute.
We actually should.
Well, maybe.
I'll
he can come on just for the quiz, can't he?
No, that'd be quite good. I'll have a chat with him.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay then, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Kieran, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Have a good week, everybody.